Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Rovers Report, where once again we're joined by Tom Wookie. And today we're going to be having a look ahead to Rovers' fixture tomorrow against Lincoln City. Um, Lincoln City, we sort of spoke about them a bit before this Zoom, mate, and it's they're not one of the bigger teams in the division, but they've been here now for 3 seasons. They currently sit in, I think, a couple of places above us in 16th with 2 more points than us. Their results have been quite interesting. They obviously recently had that good victory over Derby County at home. They picked up a good away draw against Pompey on the opening day. Um, but yeah, I think these are, again, we've spoken about this. These are sort of the games, aren't they, mate? Where we should be looking to win these, to be honest. Home games against teams in and around our sort of position. I'm just wondering how you feel after the Ipswich game and sort of going into this one, mate.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, they're a fairly established side in the league now, considering League One such a volatile division. And I think they obviously deserve a lot of respect for that. They were pushing, well, they were in the playoff semi-finals a couple of years ago, and they're clearly established. So I think they deserve a lot of respect. Perhaps they're the sort of team that don't really get that respect in return.
Mhm.
But as you said, I think we should still be expecting to win against them at home. Um, I think it has potential to be quite a drab affair given the lack of goal scoring between the two teams. And we can look at that in a minute. But I'm not too confident, especially considering we only have one fit centre half with Kilgore
Mm.
back from having his red card rescinded. So it's obviously good news on that front. But yeah, I think we have to be looking to win these games. I don't think we should ever, as I spoke about after the Ipswich game, be looking to go to any team's division away and also play them at home and think, oh, we should look for a draw here, or
Yeah.
backs against mentality. It's a losing mentality. So yeah, obviously, I think we should be looking to win this one, hoping that Harry Anderson is fit to play against his former club. But I'm at the same time, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, and Marquis as well, is it? I think he's used
Oh
to
yeah, of
be in the
course.
obviously. So yeah, I think what the where we'll do this video, mate, is we have a little look at Lincoln now, sort of go over a few of their players, their standout names, and then, as I said previously, we're going to try and bring in a few statistics on these videos now. So Tom's very kindly made a bit of a presentation, so we'll go through that and obviously relate it to the game tomorrow. I think the players for me that stood out, you sort of hear them on the terraces and as you watch other teams. The two centre backs, Regan Poole and Powdy O'Connor. I remember Regan Poole when he was at Newport County, during our League Two days, and I think he's a very established centre back now. He's only 24 years old, but him and O'Connor, I think I remember O'Connor at Bradford as well. And I think for League One, that's a fairly strong centre back pairing. And they have conceded a decent amount of goals, but we're not looking too ruthless at the minute. So I think, like you said, it could point towards a bit of a low scoring affair. Um, I think we'll get the stats up in a second, but their attack is Jack Diamond, someone that stood out for me. Obviously, did quite well at Sunderland, and with that being a high profile club, that's certainly a name that I recognised. They've got Jordan Garrick in on loan from Swansea. Yeah, I think if you don't mind now, mate, if we could sort of get up the statistics and have a look at where their threats are and sort of are they necessarily dangerous in our third, or like you said, is it going to be a low scoring affair? So yeah, if you don't mind getting them up, mate, that'd be perfect.
Sure, mate. Yeah, I definitely a screen share on this one.
That's all right. I can edit this bit out, so I'll just pause it. Yeah, so like I said, Tom's very kindly made these graphs for us. If you don't mind, mate, just sort of talking us through these and explaining a bit what each graph means and how that can relate to tomorrow's game.
Of course, mate. So here we have the goals versus expected goals, and quite naturally, you want to be scoring more than your expected goals. So you want to be above this diagonal line that's in the chart. As you can see, quite a few teams are above those, including both Rovers and Lincoln. It shows it. Obviously, statistics can be quite misleading, especially considering Rovers have conceded quite a few goals. as you can see, they both haven't scored much as well. So it's still very early days in the season, as we said before a couple of times. So there's not too much to conclude from this. But as I said earlier, it could be quite a drab affair.
Just to ask, mate, is that where Lincoln are in that graph? Does that put them as having the lowest expected goals in the division?
Yes.
Yes, so that's something interesting to take note of, isn't it? Is like you said, they're obviously outperforming that, but the statistics would say they should be scoring the least amount of goals in the division.
Exactly, and this includes, I believe, Tuesday night's fixture against Derby. So yeah, it seems like maybe they've turned a corner. Again, there's so many twists and turns coming in the season of football, 46 games. So it's quite interesting to see that both teams are pretty much in probably the lowest quartile for expected goals. So it's, and I guess, relatively outperforming. But then again, you still want to be up towards the web position where Pompey and Argyle and Wednesday are, which is, I don't know if you can see my cursor, which is around here. So there's not really too much to draw from goals versus expected goals at the moment, apart from that both are struggling, to be honest, at the moment. We do seem incredibly reliant on Collins.
Yeah.
Marquis looked pretty sharp today on the warm-up video that the official club account tweeted. So hopefully, well, I guess he has some points to prove tomorrow, but it would be nice if there were other players to chip in with a few goals as well. That's what got us promoted last season. It's what, you saw how reliant we were on Nicholson, I felt, in the relegation season. So I think we just got to be careful and try not to be too reliant on one player.
Yeah.
If we move on to relative frequencies, so the charts here are basically showing on the left-hand side is showing the distribution throughout the game of the relativity of Lincoln conceding goals. So how often do they concede goals in the sort of 10-minute periods that are on the x-axis? As you can see, 4 out of their 11 goals have been conceded between the 21st and 30th minute. Rovers have only scored, I think that must be one goal in that period, but they've scored a few more a bit closer to half time. I don't think there's much to read from it, but
it looks like there, doesn't it, mate, that they're conceding quite a lot of their goals prior to the second half. So it might be a case of if we get at them early and sort of get a goal in there, that looks like a potential, a time in the game that, as we said, you can't read too much into it. But if you wanted to, and it is useful sometimes, you would say, look, they might show a bit of weakness in the first 30, 35 minutes. So let's get at them straight away.
I think so. And if you think of two teams that don't really score too much, or perhaps it could be quite a stale affair, the team that scores first is probably likely to win. I don't know if that's empirically true, but I would certainly corroborate that in terms of striking first and striking early. I think 4 out of 11 goals is quite a lot, even at this point in the season.
With us at home as well, I think that's a massive factor. If we get that first goal, the crowd gets behind the team. I think I always feel confident when Rovers get the first goal at the Men, because you think, now they've got that sort of boost from the goal, the boost from the crowd, and we can sort of push them over the finish line. So yeah. I think that's good, mate. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Of course. So, and this is just the opposite. So Lincoln scoring versus Rovers conceding. As you can see, we've conceded a hell of a lot just after half time. I think that's 3 goals so far. They actually haven't scored. They actually haven't scored any in that period of time. There's quite oscillatory. They seem to sort of score every other period. So again, not too much to read from that, but slightly concerning for Rovers to be conceding so quickly after half time. It's a bit, obviously, having played football ourselves, it's an absolute killer to concede at that point in time, especially if you're 1-0 down. For example, that game, that second goal for Ipswich on Tuesday really killed it.
Kills you, doesn't it?
And all hope kind of becomes lost at that point. So if we just moved on, I know we were speaking about their danger men earlier.
Yeah, perfect, mate.
Goals and expected goals for the Lincoln players. So you mentioned the likes of Hopper earlier, but then I think Teddy Bishop seems to be the standout man
Yeah,
for
so Teddy
them
Bishop
so
sends
far.
them in for them. So that's quite interesting for me. Is that that's probably a job for Finley or Coots to make sure that he
Yeah,
doesn't have enough time and space, because I did look on a few of their forums and he's highly rated from them. So
yeah,
I think something like this it's really useful to spot their danger men. Obviously Hopper being their centre forward again, he's probably going to want to look at Kilgour and Hall and think, he might have a bit of luck there. So yeah, it'll be
definitely
interesting to
scored
see.
against us before. I'm pretty sure. I think it
Mm.
was for Southend. He had a little bit of, he had a little bit of luck against us. Just to note that this was before Tuesday's game, so obviously Diamond would be up there having scored. Um, and I can't remember who else scored for them on Tuesday.
Let me have a quick look, mate. It was House.
House left back. So obviously this graph would look slightly different, but again, it seems like Teddy Bishop is one of their star players. I remember when he was at Ipswich as a youngster playing as an under 18, well, as an 18-year-old in that team that reached the playoff semi-final,
Mm.
2014-15. He was highly rated. He seemed to have some unfortunate injuries since then, and the fact that he's playing good football, he's playing a League One, is obviously promising, and he's still fairly young. I'd imagine probably 24, 25.
Mm.
So he's one to watch, probably making late runs into the box, and then obviously Hopper's a player who scored quite a bit at this level. For Southend, I can't remember who else he played for. He always seemed to score a few at Southend.
I think I might be wrong here, but I feel like he may have played at Leyton Orient.
Yeah, or Scunny as well.
Yeah, let me have a quick look and see who he's played for, because certainly a name I recognise. Yeah, he's played for Scunny, Southend, and he played for Bury for a little period of time on loan.
Yeah, so he's someone who knows League One pretty well. So naturally, he's going to be a threat tomorrow.
Mm. Honestly, mate, I think that's really useful. For any of you watching, just do let us know if you enjoy these little segments, because we know it's not always easy to make it accessible, and I feel like Tom's done a really good job of that. But just give us any tips or advice if you enjoy it, if there's anything we could do to sort of make it more accessible. But I think it's a really useful feature. It's a good feature to understand the opposition, isn't it? I think now we've done that, mate. If we can, I know we touched it a bit in the Ipswich review, but if we sort of look at Rovers and, you know, I'm wondering how we're going to line up. I think obviously Kilgour's back now, so he goes straight in. If Luca Hall does play alongside him, are you going to be playing Josh Gordon at right back and Trevor Clark at left back?
Uh, It's a good one, isn't it? I think I'm not sure about my fullbacks, but I'd start both Whelan and Coots in front
Would
just to
you?
give them that protection. Yeah, with Maka completing the three.
So
In the,
No Evo McCormick.
I put Evo out on the right wing because Harry
Okay.
Anderson won't be fit.
That's a good shout, actually.
In terms of right back
I
and
tell you what, mate.
who else is there? Rossiter if he's fit, but I don't think he is.
If you're putting Coots and Whelan in there, you could definitely have Finley. Finley would do a job at right back, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he would.
I
He
know you
would.
don't like square pegs in round holes, but he's tenacious, he's quick, he's strong. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Barton drop back a midfielder to that right back position, or possibly Coots into centre back and then Hall back on right back.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I'd prefer to have Hall at right back,
Mm.
and one of them's going to have to do a job, and then we can play. Put Evo in midfield as well with
Mm.
Maka. At the end of the day, we're playing at home. We can't sit
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Even though we
exactly.
have one fit centre half. So, perhaps then the team becomes Belly and goal, Hall right back. I play Trevor Clark left back, Coots and Kilgore centre halves, Whelan in front of them, Evo and Maka or Finley in there perhaps as our midfields, and then the front three would be, I think Collins on the left, Marquis up top, and Saunders on
Yeah.
the right.
I Saunders is an interesting one for me. I saw quite a bit on the forum where he's getting a lot of stick. I think someone labelled him a National League level player. I think that's a
That's
bit
too
harsh.
much. Yeah, it's a load of cost
I
Warnock,
think
I think.
in the same sentence, mate, he hasn't really done much for us. It's all good being quick and running around, but he's not shown much quality for me. Um, I'd be tempted to play him, but more than likely I'd probably go with Collins, Marquis, and probably Evo, and then I'd have Finley back in the centre mid.
Yeah,
Or I tell you what, maybe give Jasper a game. Joe,
yeah,
say to him, look, here's your chance. We're up against a team that we should have a good opportunity against. Just go out there. You've got the home crowd behind you. Have a bit of fun, bit of freedom.
mm.
You can always bring him off. So, yeah, Harvey Saunders for me is a difficult one. He hasn't kicked on, has he? And
One of those for me. He's never really had a run in the team because Harry Anderson's played so well for the last year or so.
yeah,
That right wing position was never really up for grabs, and I'd say that's also his best position. He's played up front before for Fleetwood and in non-league, but I think out on the wing is his best position. But it just seems like there's never really been an opportunity for him, and he's had injuries. So perhaps if Anderson's injured for the next couple of games, it would be an opportunity for him. But at the same time, he had a very good preseason, but he hasn't really kicked on. I know that's partly due to limited opportunities, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I think obviously he's under contract for this season. We're gonna have to play him. He's definitely not national league standard. I think he's a lot better than that. But
he's much better. He's much better than that, isn't he? But it's like you said, mate. It's one of those where potentially because he hasn't been given the opportunities, we don't actually know how good he is.
mm,
And I think something I'd be interested to see with tomorrow is if he does start, where, like you said, where is he going to start? Because I don't think he's never going to lead the line, is he? And you'd probably want to put him up top with a striker like Lofty, but you're not going to
oh, yeah,
drop.
of course, forgot about Loft as well.
But I
If
think he might still be injured.
Yeah, I think if he's fit, then I think we should obviously start him, considering he has 3 and 3,
Mm.
and start him instead of Marquis. Um, Collins on the left, Saunders on the right. But yeah, it's a really odd situation at the moment, isn't it? We have so many injured players. We have
Yeah,
Bobby who's just been sent off. I don't really know what's going on with Conley and Gibbons and Gibson, who looked pretty solid before getting injured. I assume after Shrewsbury.
mm.
Haven't seen him since. It is slightly odd what's going on at the moment, and I think it's a misfortune more than anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we can't blame that on defeats, and
No,
I
of
think
course
we
not.
haven't been good enough. We haven't been good enough so far this season. So maybe, well, I think it would be an incredibly good win tomorrow with the depleted squad. So fingers crossed, mate. But I think it's more likely to be a 0-0, which is my prediction.
Yeah, mate. I think that's a fair prediction, and I think just before we finish, I think this is quite an important game, mate. And we're going into a run of games where we've had the tricky away games, but I saw the Gascast mentioned it today, and it's true. Is our next home games are all against teams in and around us. We've got Lincoln, then Aki, then we've got Cambridge at home, and there's going to be a point where it's February, March time where we're going to have games which you almost will write off. So it's absolutely crucial now. I'm not saying these are must win just yet, but in the long term picture of the season, Lincoln at home, Aki at home, Cambridge at home. If you're not picking wins up there, then you're going to be sort of pulled into that lower,
Yeah.
definitely in the lower half, potentially the relegation zone, and it could easily creep up on us. So yeah, the next 4 games in the league, 3 at home against Lincoln, Aki, Cambridge, 1 away to Exeter. I think if we could get 9 points, would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd certainly take 6. I think because I think tomorrow for me, that's a game you should be looking at going. We need to win. So I think my prediction for that, I'll go for 1-1. It's a shame, isn't it? Like you, I can't see it being high scoring, and I don't know. I just don't think we have quite enough yet to get over the line. But
Mm.
do you want to, just before we go, mate? Do you want to give your? Would you say 0-0? Is that your final prediction?
That was official prediction, I'm afraid. Yeah.
All right. So I was going to say a goal scorer, but obviously not. I'll go for a Marquis header, but I think it'll be a scrappy, boring game, to be honest, mate.
And it's a 1-1 prediction.
Yeah, 1-1 prediction. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, mate.
And again, I think for the viewers, Tom's he's put this effort in his own time to make those stats and to put the graphs and stuff together. So I just want to say a massive thank you again, mate. I really enjoy it. I think it really adds to the channel. But yeah, definitely let us know what you guys thought about it. And we'll see you we'll do something on Sunday, I imagine, won't we, mate?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks for coming on, mate, and I'll catch you later.
Pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Bye.